we researched the country to see what their COVID cases are. And, if they're having any spikes and kind of how they're handling the pandemic in general. Because needless to say, that a lot of countries are handling it a lot better than we are. And so that's one thing we do, and see what restrictions they have for travel. Do you have to get tested before? What are the mask mandates at the hotels and in the country? So Aruba is a perfect example. You had to have a negative COVID test, I think 3 or 4 days before arriving. Obviously, all the airlines and the airports, you have the mask mandates. So we called the hotel as well. And it was a Hilton. No, we stayed at the Marriott, and in Aruba. And so they have to see what their cleaning practices are, ask what their housekeeping practices are. Some places are doing housekeeping only a couple times a week, and you have to be out of the room, some only by request. So finding out what their cleaning and their safety protocols are, and the mask mandates and that kind of stuff. So that was important.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Collective Drift. This is your host, Erica Knowles. I'm so glad you're back with me. This is going to be an amazing episode, and it's long overdue. I know I haven't been with you in a while. I'm sorry. But anyways, we are here today with Dr. Sheba. She is the founder and the brains behind Get Fit with Dr. Sheba, health, fitness, and nutrition coaching. I'm telling you, this woman is amazing. You need to listen to her story and get your tips on how to travel and stay fit at the same time, because she is doing it, and stay healthy, especially during these times of COVID. People, still stay safe, vaccinated or not. You need to stay safe. And Sheba has some great tips in here on how to do that, as you've heard. Which leads me to mention that Sheba is also the partner of the amazing company Road to 100 Countries with her husband and father of her daughter and their soon-to-be baby-to-be, Ronnie Dunstan. So you have to check out their website, Road to 100 Countries, and their Facebook group as well, if you want to get the tips to learn how to save money on travel by using points. Let me tell you, they just went to the Maldives practically for free and stayed at a 5-star resort. Okay, check it out. Remember, Collective Drift is now a part of Kadilo, so you can find us on kadealo.com. But right now, wherever you're listening, remember to subscribe, click like, rate the episode, all of that. I truly appreciate your support. As we were talking about, this is going to help you save money, right? So this episode of the Collective Drift podcast is sponsored by Truist. Truist is here for better. BB&T and SunTrust form Truist with a shared purpose to inspire and build better lives and communities. With our combined resources, collective passion, and commitment to innovation, we're creating a better financial experience to help people and businesses achieve more. Go to truist.com for more information. Yay! Let's get right to it. To Collective Drift, Sheba. How would you describe yourself? What are you passionate about? Who are you?
I always find it weird how to describe myself, but I always start with saying I'm a New Yorker. So that kind of says a lot about my personality, probably born and raised. I have a passion in health and fitness and travel. So my background, my PhD is in health education. So my life is about health, and I focus on health disparities, but I also have a passion about overall health and wellness and fitness and being physically healthy and mentally healthy. And then also travel. I love to travel. I love to learn new things. I love to see and learn about different places and different cultures. So I think that's me in a nutshell. I'm also married and a new mom. So that kind of has taken over my life, I guess you could say. I have an 11-month-old, so learning new things about being a mom. So yeah, being a mom is I love it, and I'm passionate about travel, health, and fitness.
Awesome. And how would you describe yourself culturally as well? I didn't mention that.
So my family is from Trinidad. Both my parents were born and raised in Trinidad. I came over to the United States when they were teenagers. We grew up listening to soca and eating amazing food. So that's what I would say that my cultural background is.
With soca, with all this amazing food, how do you blend that in when you're talking about you're passionate about health, but then a lot of times amazing food definitely has things in it that aren't necessarily healthy.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that, especially when you're talking about Trinidadian food, but then also when you're traveling, how do you stay healthy, since that is your passion when you're traveling and you want to try all these amazing food?
Well, it's been a journey. I'll tell you that much. I think I've come a long way. So food and eating was a big part of our family with regard to celebration. So any excuse to celebrate and for mom to cook or to have a gathering, birthdays, barbecues, 4th of July, Christmas and Thanksgiving was always huge. And we would literally have everything from turkey to curry goat to oxtail to fried chicken. To stewed chicken, rice and peas, macaroni pie. Literally, like there was there was no holding back on holidays or gatherings. So I must say that as an adult, I started to learn more about what I should and shouldn't put in my body.
Right.
As a child, not so much, and that's just because food, I guess, in a way, was the way that we showed love, or at least my mom, if she's a giver. So she gave all of herself to her kids and to her family. And one way that she did that was through cooking.
Mm-hmm.
I've had, my weight loss and weight gain journey throughout throughout the years.
But I've seen your pre and post baby pics, and I don't see any trouble. Like,
Well, now, I mean, I think like I said, I've learned what I should and shouldn't put in my body, but also about balance. So it's okay to have the rice and peas and oxtail and pie, but you can't have that every day. So now I've gotten to a point where I've learned how to manage what I eat and also physical activity. I wasn't very physically active as a child, or even though I played sports, but it wasn't a focus. It wasn't really a routine for me until now. Right now, I work out 6 days a week. I rest 1 day a week, and I even work out when I'm traveling.
oh wow.
Traveling, we're walking a lot. So just the act of being in another country and we're exploring, you're being more physically active than you typically are now, especially now these days where I barely leave the house. But I also realized that traveling should not be an excuse to have a cheat day every day. And I think when I was younger, that's how I used traveling, because I love to try new food and I love to eat,
Mm-hmm.
just in general, I love to eat. I just kind of overindulged too
Mm-hmm.
much. And now I've scaled it back where I do indulge because, I want to try that local food. I want to have that dessert, but it's about balance. Sometimes I would have bacon cheeseburgers for lunch, but then I'm not going to overindulge at dinner, or I'll have like a really good local cuisine for dinner. Then I'm not going to have too much at breakfast. It's just kind of have to balance that out a bit. And then also, trying to do some workout in the room, 30 minutes cardio workouts that I usually stream from my phone. And that's how I try to stay on target, even while traveling.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to take a point of privilege since this is my show. I I grew up like you. I haven't had a physical education course since I was in elementary school. So since I was about 12 years old, I haven't been super physically active. That's
Mm.
my, and I'm in my late 30s now. My mother would kill me if I said my age. But I'm in my late 30s, and that's still my same excuse. I used to work out before going on a trip because it's like, okay, I might want to climb this temple and I need to work out, a little
Mhm.
energy going. So you're a fitness coach. How do you motivate someone like me? And I'm naturally lean.
Well, the first thing when I'm talking to clients, the first thing that I ask them is, what is your why? Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to get fit? What do you want to change? So thinking about your reason and I asked them to think a little deeper than, oh, I want to, I'm going on this trip and I want to look good in a bathing suit. That's a superficial reason. And not to say that your physical appearance is not important, but what's a deeper meaning? So, for example, diabetes and hypertension runs in my family. And I've seen the devastating effects that it can have on people, losing toes and legs
Wow.
and, just having to struggle, having to take medication every day, going up one flight of stairs and being winded. So those are the original things that I think about that I don't want to happen to me in the future. Why I still get up every day and work out, or I don't have that bag of chips or another burger. Now my daughter is a big reason because one, she's a lot to keep up with. So I want to have the energy. I want to be able to run with her. I want to be able to play with her. I also want to live longer so that I can meet my grandchildren and play with them. So those are the things that I think about. So I always ask my clients to think about what their why is. Think deep to why you want to do this, because everybody's motivation is going to be different.
Mhm.
I can share my story and maybe that'll help others, but my motivation may be different from yours. So you have to find what that is. And then once I know what that is, I can help motivate you and keep you on track based on that.
Got you. Okay, that sounds helpful, but I definitely would need
Mhm.
some pushing along.
Right. Yeah. And then, that's, the overall deeper meaning. Then we get to the practical things
Mhm.
like what is your daily routine and how can we incorporate healthier lifestyle within that routine? So your routine may be different than somebody who has 3 kids or somebody who is working from home or somebody who has to, go out every day and works in a hospital.
Right.
So how can we incorporate these things into your life right now? So for example, I meal prep because if I don't have food prepped, I might eat something that I
Mhm.
shouldn't. Finding a time to schedule cooking or to schedule your meals, and also finding a time to work out. And that could be if you like to run, getting up and going outside, running or walking. If you like to dance,
I like to dance occasionally, but come on.
or do you like to lift weights? Do you like cardio? Or if you're short on time and just want 30 minutes, whatever it is, then I can suggest something that you can do in your home with weights or without weights, 30 minutes for a quick burn. It just depends on your lifestyle, and what you enjoy, because the one thing you don't want to do is try to do something that you don't even enjoy at all. So if you don't like to run, don't try to run. Like that's not the exercise that you should be doing to be physically active. I hate running. And I try to incorporate it because it's healthy and that's what coaches do. They try all these different things. And I hated it. So I don't run. Once in a while, I may go for walks with my daughter, but I like high intensity strength training or more cardio workouts. And I actually enjoy it. It's quick, burn, and I get it over with. And I could go on with my day. So if you don't mind doing 100 squats and jumping up and down and burpees just to get it over with, then I can suggest workouts for you to do that, just to incorporate that into your day.
Okay, so then I gotta find something fun that I like doing that I even will do while I'm traveling because there's
Mm-hmm.
no skip days. Okay. Yeah. So in terms of wellness and self-care and doing any daily rituals, things that your mother or your aunts may have taught you, what did you learn, so to say, in the Trinidadian tradition?
With regard to self care, well, that's a little hard because when I think about my mom, like I said, my mom is a
Mhm.
giver and she literally gave everything of her to her family. I've learned, and I would say that I don't think that she did enough. See, sometimes even now, is put herself
Mhm.
first. And so you can learn from people, not just on what they do, or you can also learn what they don't do or what they should do. And you can incorporate that into your life. And I don't think she put herself first. She put her kids first and she put her family first, and grateful. And we're all grateful and thankful that she did that. But I don't think that she put herself first with regard to her self-care. Just something as simple as taking a
Mhm.
break, taking a day off and going out or relaxing or going for a massage. That's just not something that she ever did or even, talked about or thought about until as an adult have conversations with her and she wants to travel and do these different things. But growing up, she did not do that. So I think I learned about giving, from her. But with regard to self care, I've learned that I need to incorporate that more as an adult so you don't burn out. And I think that's something that I see a lot with mothers. I mean, that's what we
Mhm.
do. It's funny, I've only been a mother for 11 months, but my entire life changed when my daughter came because now it really is all about
Mhm.
her. And I think about her first constantly, but I still realize that if I don't take care of myself, then I won't be able to take care of her. So I have to incorporate self care into my life in order to be there for her.
So how do you balance that, and what are some of the things that you do?
So I try to maximize time as much as possible.
Mhm.
So one, I have an amazing husband. So I have to give him credit because he helps so much. with Nubia. And when I work out, usually this is the time she's still sleeping, and I'm usually working out this time or like before 10. So he's with her. We're both home teleworking now because of the pandemic. I mean, he's a daddy in all respects. He does diapers, he does bath times, he does feedings, he plays with her, he teaches her. So when I want to work out, he takes her, when I have meetings, he's with her, but also maximizing the time. So I'm usually up early. So if she's asleep, I get so much done. I clean, I try to cook, work out. But then even when I am with her, we play and I teach her, but then I've learned how to multitask where I can still, I've been on, on meetings and phone calls with her playing in the background.
Yeah, it's so important now during this pandemic. I mean, people are definitely multitasking, parenting, and working at the same time.
Yeah. And at first it felt like it was impossible, but now it's just a routine. Now we really got a hang of it and are making it work.
So you brought up your husband, Ron, who I mentioned to you earlier that we hung out together when we were in college. So, and you both have a company called Road to 100 Countries. And I saw the journey on Instagram and on Facebook. It was like, wait, they're really going to go to 100 countries together? Tell me a little bit about that.
We started traveling pretty early on in our relationship. He's traveled a lot prior to meeting me, and I traveled somewhat, not as much as he did. So that was a common thing that we had that we like to do. We started traveling and we did a lot of countries in the Caribbean, short flights, cheaper. We'll just go back a little bit. My first international trip was a study abroad in undergrad where I went to Europe.
Where in Europe?
London. So we went to the UK, Amsterdam, and Switzerland.
Okay.
So it was a summer study abroad for about a month, 2 weeks in London, a week in Amsterdam and Geneva. And so after a couple of years of Caribbean and Mexico, I said, we need to expand. We need to go a little further out. So we started going to Europe and Asia and Africa. And so at a certain point, Ronnie didn't want to repeat countries. And I agreed. I was like, we've been to Mexico and the Bahamas too many times. Not that I don't love those places and we've still visited after, but there's so many countries out there. So we were like, how many countries are there? Oh, there's 195. So let's just not repeat countries. And then Ronnie, I think it was, what song is that? The 0 to 100 real quick. And he said, let's go to 100 countries. I was like, 100 countries? And he's like, yeah, let's see half of the world. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And just like that, we decided to not repeat countries and just started counting how many countries that we've been to. I guess the rest is history. So we just started, I would research, different places to go. I would always look for the right time to travel to a certain place, typically based on weather. So when it was, besides Iceland, that's the only cold place that we've been to, when it was in their summer or spring season, and we would just make a list and putting, prospective dates, because there's certain times that we travel, like for our birthdays and for the holidays, and just started checking things off the list.
All right, here's, the important part. How did you do this? Because I don't know that you all were independent, wealthy, like Oprah. How do we do this? I mean, I feel like I'm a person who's traveled a lot. I've been to about 50 countries, I think, but not as quick as you all did it. So how do we make this happen?
In the beginning, we interestingly did a lot of those timeshare promos. So, that there's a lot of those in Mexico and different places in the Caribbean. So that's a great cheap way to travel. If you don't mind doing a, 2-hour timeshare presentation to get a 5-day all-inclusive for like $200. So we did that a lot. And then once we started to expand, there's no all-inclusive outside of the Caribbean, really. We had to figure out how to do this without breaking the bank.
Right.
Ronnie started researching travel credit cards and hotel points and airline miles.
Okay.
It was a lot of trial and error, but through a lot of research, we learned that you can earn free stays and free flights using hotel travel credit cards. So what does that mean? One, every hotel brand and airline has free memberships. So typically when we think about travel tips, that's the first thing we tell people. The simplest thing to do is sign up for every one of those free memberships. JetBlue, Delta, Hilton, Marriott, they all have free memberships, and you can earn hotel points and airline miles to just being a member for every stay and for every flight.
Okay.
So that's the basics. Now, in order to take it to the next level, to really get free travel, you have to get the credit cards. And that's loaded. Not everybody wants credit cards. You have to be really savvy with your money. You have to pay your bill. Just a disclaimer: you can't just go get credit cards and rack up points. You have to pay your bills. So we use it as debit cards. We use it and then we pay it. We don't just pay the minimum amount. We put lump sums on credit cards. Anyways, we started using these cards for everyday expenses.
Okay.
For groceries, gas, food, restaurants, even rent and mortgage. There's ways to do that. I can't even remember how much points we have now in Hilton. It's in the millions, probably like 4 million Hilton points. So
Wait,
it was a
mortgage
process.
with a credit card?
You can. There is a way.
Oh, so not
There's a
if
way.
you do the cash withdrawal on your credit card, it's going to charge you like 25% or something. Like it's going to be something crazy.
No, we don't do cap withdrawals. It's a specific way that
Wow.
may take a longer conversation. I could just plug the group right now. On Facebook, we have group Road to 100 Countries travel group, and we give these kinds of tips and information because I don't want to just glaze over it and then people go try it
Right.
and then it goes wrong. So it's usually longer conversations to be had about how to do that correctly, but you can.
Quick plug for you also. You have like a pretty inexpensive course on how to do this.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So we developed a course called The Tricks to Travel, and it's an online course. It's only $19.99. Like it's
Right.
very cheap. Spend that on fast food in a week. Some people, so $19.99 in the step-by-step videos on how to maximize the points and miles system in order to gain free hotel stays and free flights, airline miles. And that's pretty much how we've traveled. We haven't paid for a hotel almost 6 years, I would think, using Hilton points and Marriott points. And for flights, typically, depending on where it is, probably have 60 to 70% of our flights for free. Some places, if it's not that expensive, we'll pay for it. And then there's obviously taxes and whatnot. But yeah, we've learned how to really maximize free travel by using these points. And there's specific ways that you can do it.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely need to check out that course.
Yeah. And so if you go to our website, road to100countries.com, that's the website where you can find out about the course, about our Facebook page. We also have an Instagram page, Road to 100 Countries. So we have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. And again, the group is phenomenal. We have so many people and so many travelers who give tips, and we give tips, obviously.
Yeah, I enjoy
well.
the group. Well, when you're traveling, are you doing any savings beforehand also? Because when you're on vacation, you still have to spend some money.
Because our trips are typically free for the most part, besides taxes and fees, we feel more comfortable with being able to spend. So again, Ronnie says this all the time. No matter what it is, he wants a discount. Literally anything. And there's always a way. He has the gift of gab. He's really good at talking to people and getting deals and getting discounts. There's a couple of ways that we do save by staying with Hilton or Marriott, and we have the membership with the credit cards. You get perks. One of the perks is free breakfast. So wherever we go, whatever hotel we're staying at, we always have free breakfast. So you're saving that meal every day. A lot of these hotels also have lounges. So that means that they have sometimes dinner and drinks, sometimes just appetizers or other snacks. So we can have snacks, water, and drinks throughout the day. So that saves some costs. So typically we might just only eat out once a day. And I like to do that because I like to go out and eat the local food. But typically we save a lot on food by eating.
Okay, so for at least 1.5 meals a day.
Right. And depending on where we are, we would do tours or we'll just rent a car. When we went to Aruba, we rented a car and just did everything ourselves. So you're saving on paying somebody else to take you around and on paying for excursions and whatnot. So we're at a point where, depending on where we are, we're comfortable like just exploring on your own. That's usually the best thing. But then there's other places where you have to, hire people or get excursions.
So because you've learned this point system, most people, when they're saving for a trip and they're like putting away money in a bank account, they're putting away money for the flight, they're putting away money for the hotel, for the transportation, for the food and everything. You all just have to put away money for your time when you're there.
Yep.
And money's going to negotiate them down anyways. You all might be putting away savings for maybe a quarter of what the rest of us are out here doing if you're not doing it properly.
Yep, that is correct. That is correct. So that's definitely a way to save. And then there's also ways to gain points even while you're there. If we're staying at the Hilton, we use our Hilton credit card for everything. And I think that might be 10 points to the dollar at Hilton's, depending on which card. You're staying free at the Hilton, right? And then if we do eat something or charge anything to the room, we can even charge tours and excursions to the room, then we're getting points on top of that. So you're staying at the hotel for free, and then you're still gaining points so you can stay for free at your next vacation. And that's something that we teach in the course
Okay,
as well.
I'm definitely checking that out. Okay, so I want to just change the subject a little bit, but still on travel.
Mhm.
Can you tell me what was your favorite travel experience? A travel experience that impacted you the most?
That's a really hard question because we've been to 108 countries and we've had so many different kinds of experiences and different kinds of places. My favorite, I can't choose just one. I mean, there's things that stick out in my mind. For example, if I think about my 30th birthday, we planned a Mediterranean cruise. And just a disclaimer: there's no way to save on cruises. Like you can gain points by using the credit card, but there's just no way. So we did a couple. We haven't cruised as much recently, but anyway. So we were going to the Mediterranean for my 30th birthday, and I wanted to go to Venice. So we flew into Rome and rented a car to drive to Venice. And I think it was a smart car. And again, Ronnie is comfortable driving in any country, and so we were driving to Venice and we had to stop in and get gas. So again, we're in the country of Italy, like outside of the city. And so everything is in Italian. Everybody's speaking Italian. Nobody's speaking English. And so we went to get gas and it said diesel. There was two nozzles. And I think one said gasolina and one said diesel. So Ronnie was like, okay, so I'm going to put the, gasolina. This is a regular car. We don't need diesel. And I said, why don't you just go inside and ask somebody, which one to use, just because it's in Italian. We want to make sure. He's like, no, it's fine. It's gasolina. It's like Spanish. I'm like, okay. So so he puts the gas in. So now we're driving down the highway, and if you've ever driven in Italy, they speed like it's a race car drivers all over the road. So the car starts like stuttering and making some sounds and slowing down. And I'm like, what the F? What is going on? And we're in a smart car and it's little and it's at night and people are speeding past us and probably cursing us out in Italian. So it turns out that gasolina meant diesel.
Oh,
So he put diesel in a smart car.
No way.
And so it's my birthday. I think it was the day of my birthday. And it was the longest, like, I don't know, it was like 3 hours, I think, drive from Rome to Venice at that point. So we had to stop at another gas station and kind of just keep adding regular gas to kind of flush it out. At that point, the next day we went to Venice, and actually that's when Ronnie proposed in the middle of Venice in San Marco Square. So it was a wonderful day. So then the next day we had to drive back to Rome to get to the cruise. So we're driving back and we get stuck on the highway. The car just dies. Like it just stops on a ramp going into the highway. And we have about 2 hours to get the cruise. But we had to return the car. So we had to call the car rental and they had to come get the car, and we had to get a cab to rush to the cruise. They were about to pull the anchors up when we were running down the ramp to get the cruise. Anyways, that's one of the craziest stories that I think of with traveling. It turned out great because Ronnie proposed to me and it was my birthday and we had a wonderful time after that. But, when you're traveling, you have to think that one, you're in a different place. So it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to, if you don't know something, it's good to have adventures and be adventurous and, rent cars and whatnot, but also be mindful of what you're doing and think about what you're doing and ask questions if you're not sure.
Absolutely, because you all are supposed to be the savers. That could have been a very expensive mistake.
That could have been really expensive. And I think I can't remember what we told the car company. We were like, oh, we don't know what happened. And they didn't charge us, thank goodness, because that would have been horrible on our credit card to have to pay for whatever repairs needed for that car. But it turned out great. But Yeah, you have to on travel, you have to be flexible and kind of just think on your feet and when something goes wrong.
Absolutely, you definitely do. That was a lot to deal with, and on your birthday, but you got engaged, so
Hmm.
it's all.
Yes.
Well, can you tell me, so now you're traveling a lot with your husband. Before you traveled as a single person, and now you're traveling with this baby. Have you done any trips yet with her yet?
Yeah, so we went to Aruba in
Mhm.
September and we did Florida and road trips to New York and New Jersey. So yeah, we're getting her acclimated to the travel world. I think for people who don't travel, they didn't travel when they had kids because you didn't travel before. So it's going to be harder for you to travel now. But since we were travelers before, we already knew that we would make a way to travel. Obviously, it's not every other month like we did before, but we knew that we were going to travel. Like that's part of our life. So there was, it was easy to incorporate Nubia into that. It's different, obviously, but definitely going to travel.
You mentioned earlier we are in the midst of this pandemic. How are
Hmm.
you feeling about traveling during the pandemic? But you definitely need to be safe while doing that. Do you have any tips, any advice, or what have you all done?
So we researched the country to see what their COVID cases are. And if they're having any spikes and kind of how they're handling the pandemic in general, because needless to say that a lot of countries are handling it a
Yeah.
lot better than we are. And so that's one thing we do, and see what restrictions they have for travel. Do you have to get tested before? What are the mask mandates at the hotels and in the country? So Aruba is a perfect example. You had to have a negative COVID test, I think 3 or 4 days before arriving. Obviously, all the airlines and the airports, you have the mask mandates. So we called the hotel as well, and it was a Hilton. No, we stayed at the Marriott, excuse me, and in Aruba. And so they have to see what their cleaning practices are, ask what their housekeeping practices are. Some places are doing housekeeping only a couple times a week and you have to be out of the room, some only by request. So finding out what their cleaning and their safety protocols are and the mask mandates and that kind of stuff. So that was important. And with regard to Nubia, since Nubia is 11 months, she can't wear a mask. So I'm very, very conscious about being around people because she can't wear a mask to protect herself, so everybody else has to be wearing a mask around her. So I have her in her baby seat, the car seat with a cover over it. We actually also got her a face shield, so it's pretty much a hat with a little cover over it that's loose. It doesn't restrict her breathing or anything, just an extra layer, an extra barrier to protect her. The second thing is flights. I only wanted nonstop short flights, no more than 4 hours, at least right now. We might extend that next year, depending on how things are going. But for right now, that's what I was comfortable with. And right now, JetBlue and Delta are blocking the middle seats, meaning they're not assigning middle seats to anybody. And that does two things. One, that assures that the capacity is at least 1/3 less than typical. So there's no full flights. So less people is more safe. And also that you're not going to have a stranger sitting right next to you. So typically the airlines have, 3 seats on each side. So it was just me, Ronnie, and Nubia, and we didn't have to pay for that extra seat, but Nubia got her own seat. So those are some of the things that we think about when traveling right now.
Awesome. Yeah. When I flew from the US to Turkey, that was my connection. One of the things that they announced was that when they serve the food, that they asked for only one person in the row to eat at a time. Has that happened to you?
They haven't. That's interesting. No, they didn't have that. They just said that make sure that you keep your mask on. They didn't say anything specifically about snacks. I mean, they gave out Ziploc bags that had a water and some chips in it to kind of reduce, the back and forth. But I would literally just, put a chip underneath my mask or put it down real quick to eat and put it back on. But they didn't say anything specific about snacks. But that's good to think about. Oh, the other thing also is cleaning. So prior to this pandemic, I sanitized our seats with Lysol wipes and spray, the entire seat, the window, the tray table. So now that's common practice. So I would just say that people should have been doing that before because airplanes are nasty, just in general. So now that's common practice and just staying away from people. I mean, honestly, it's unfortunate because on travel, we've met a lot of great people at hotels, on the airplane, and talk about travel, but now we don't. And Ronnie's more social than I am, so I'm pretty okay with that. But it's just like, nope, we're keeping our distance. We're not engaging in conversations and typically that we have with people. So that's unfortunate, but that's the way it is right now, and we just have to work within this new
Yeah,
norm.
absolutely. One of my favorite parts of traveling is meeting people when I'm there in another country. Do you typically meet natives? Are you meeting people that are traveling? What's your typical trip like when you are meeting people?
It's usually a mix of both. We meet people at the hotel. We always talk to the people who work at the hotel. So housekeeping staff, the front desk, they always know us by name. Usually they know us before because we send emails asking questions or we have a conversation with somebody. This is also something that we talk about in the course, is communicating with the hotel to get free upgrades. So if you want to learn how to do that, that's in the course as well. So when we get there, they're like, oh, the Dunstons, Road to 100 Countries. So they kind of know us.
Right.
And we send them our website and their Instagram. So they're kind of excited when we get there because they know we also do reviews, obviously. So we talk about the hotel and the service and that kind of stuff. So we always talk at length to the hotel staff. And, if we do have tour guides or drivers. And that's the best way for me to learn about the country, the culture, and the customs. You can look online and you can go to museums, but talking to people about their everyday lives and what it's like here is the best way. And that's one of my favorite parts of traveling and really learning about the country and the culture.
Okay, so 2 of my wrap-up questions, which I ask everybody. If you could ask a question to women around the world, what would that question be?
How do you find yourself and be yourself in a world that is still so dominated by men and masculinity?
I like that one. That's a different question. We haven't gotten that one yet. And how would you define a woman?
Being a woman is amazing. It's freeing. It's loving. When I think about women, we are amazing creatures in so many ways. We are versatile. We are flexible. We're able to bend backwards when needed. We're able to do multiple flips and multitask. We're able to create life and give life. And we're able to love and be loved. And, we can be the executive in the boardroom and the mother breastfeeding her child. We have so many different facets and we can do so many different things, and we're talented in so many ways. We can curse you out if you get on our nerves, but we could also make you feel so comfortable and secure in the same breath. So we're amazing creatures.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sheba. I love that joke.
No problem.
Well, thanks again for being on. I appreciate your time, for you sharing your wisdom about travel tips and health tips, and of course, your definition of being a woman. Can you tell everyone again where they can find you?
My Instagram is Get Fit with Dr. Sheba, and my website is drsheba.com, and also our website, road to100countries.com. and Instagram, Road to 100 Countries. Thank you so much. This was amazing, a lovely experience. I had a pleasure talking with you. Thanks for inviting me on.
Thanks so much for listening to that episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop a comment right now. Click like, rate it, subscribe, all that good stuff. I truly appreciate your support. The more you do that, the more we keep going with this thing, right? Anyways, remember to follow Collective Drift and Kadilo. That's Kadealo. Kadilo is here to bring you all the amazing stuff from Africa and the African diaspora, specifically around travel, culture, food, style, and more. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that. Thank you again, Truist. We truly appreciate the support. That's truist.com. Remember, all of this information, including Dr. Sheba's, all of it is right in the show notes, all the information about the episode. So if you're driving right now, no need to stop. Just wait till later and you can grab the information. All right, catch you later.